So unless you've been hiding under a rock somewhere, you know that there's a new Supreme Court justice going through the nomination process and confirmation process. His name's Judge Kavanaugh. Now, this guy's been serving in one of the toughest districts in D.C. for about the past 12 years. I listened to 2 days worth of confirmation hearings, and the guy's actually incredibly smart. He's well reserved, he's put together, he answered questions honestly, truthfully. Of course, that wasn't enough for the Democrats on the Judicial Committee, but, you know, hell with them. But it was a political circus, and I do mean a three-ring circus from the word go. Chuck Grassley couldn't even get good warning out of his mouth before they were trying to dismiss the entire confirmation process, trying to delay it, shut it down, recess it, the entire. If you didn't listen to it, dude, it was hilarious. Opening moments, I mean, right on through, they tried to land everything. It was horrible. So they finally got through all that crap, get on to the Q&A sessions, and I've never heard more political pontificating and grandstanding in my life. It was horrible. And you can tell the Republicans, when the Republicans asked a question, they actually wanted to know an answer. It was a question that could be answered. It was a question that required a thoughtful, educated, and detailed response. And the judge was given the time allowed in order to respond. When the Democrats asked a question, if they asked a question, it was some hypothetical situation that they knew the judge ethically couldn't answer. I mean, you talk about playing to the cameras. It was pathetic. And no, that's all it was. That's all they were doing, was just playing to the cameras to make sure that their ignorant base just kept on believing the narrative that they keep shoving down their throats. You got guys up there like Cory Booker. That was hilarious. He was doing nothing but campaigning for 2020. And yes, keep an eye out for Cory Booker, because he is a Democrat hopeful for president. But he decided that there were some documents that he knew of that he thought needed to be released. By God, he was going to release them come hell or high water. And just going on about how this could get him ejected from Congress, and he knew he was violating the rules, but by God, he was going to do it anyways, because the only thing he was doing was playing to the cameras so that his base, that he's got suckered in, would see him as the big hero for standing up against the rules and pounding his chest, and I'm going to do this anyways because that's how it needs to be done. And he even said, this is my Spartacus moment. Spartacus moment? Tell you what, Corey, it is ungodly apparent that you've never even seen the movie Spartacus. Number two, the documents that he was talking about releasing against the rules of the committee had been approved for release the day before. So what was he doing? Playing to the cameras. That's the one thing I hate about some of these televised hearings, oversight committees, things like that, is that they know that there are these cameras on them, and that this is their chance to play to their base and get them to just swallow up whatever bullcrap narrative it is that they are pushing to get their base to vote for them. What a joke. So we have these 2 days of hearings. It's supposed to go to a vote this coming Thursday, and then here comes Dianne Feinstein. And she's had this information since July. that she has been sitting on about a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Have to check me on that. I believe her name is Christine Woods, Democrat that lives out in California, who is claiming to have been sexually assaulted by the judge back in high school 36 years ago. 36 years. And now she comes out. But here's the fun part. The fun part is that she says that she didn't remember this encounter, and she's only just now remembering it because it was a repressed memory that has come back through her own therapy sessions. But she can't remember where the party was at, who else was there, when the date of the party was. No details whatsoever. Just that Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her. Even though, I know how rampant the sexual assault claims have been coming in the past, couple of years against politicians on both sides. Even though there have been at least 65 women come forward in the judge's defense that say this completely goes against his character, that he was the responsible one in all of their social circles. And if anyone was in trouble, he was the first one to stand up and help. So how is it this man, who has all this backing from everybody, have this one female who had one encounter, supposed encounter, 36 years ago, that just so conveniently comes out right now? I don't get it. And anybody who doesn't think this is a setup is unbelievably naive or stupid. Needs a high five in the face with a sledgehammer. I tell you what, that is not the end of the playing for the cameras. They just keep preying on the ignorance of their voters. Because now, they're up in front of the cameras, scared to death that Brett Kavanaugh, because he's a conservative judge, is going to get into the Supreme Court and overturn Roe v. Wade. Which tells me one more thing. Either one, Democrats on the Judicial Committee don't have the first freaking clue of how the Supreme Court works, or two, they do know how the Supreme Court works and simply aren't saying it because they want to fearmonger their base into thinking that one day, Brett Kavanaugh is going to walk into his office and grab a morning cup of coffee and go, you know what? Today I'm going to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's not how it works. Roe v. Wade is the precedent. Roe v. Wade is law. In order for the Supreme Court to come up with a ruling on anything, it takes all 9 judges. So you take that little theory and shove it. And I tell you what, there's another little tidbit of information for you. Judge Kavanaugh. There's actually 2 of them. The other Judge Kavanaugh is Brett's mother. And Brett's mother was a presiding judge in a foreclosure case back in the day involving the accuser's parents. Can anybody say revenge tactic? And all of this obstruction, all this resistance, it all leads up to one thing. What the Democrats are trying to do is to delay this confirmation just enough to get it through October 1st, to where by that point, the confirmation will be delayed until after the midterm elections, where the Democrats are hoping to take back the majority, the Senate and the House, and Brett Kavanaugh will never see the Supreme Court. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Call it a conspiracy theory if you want, don't much care how much of a conspiracy theory is and if it comes true. And on that note, that tells you how important voting is. The midterms are just as important as the presidential election. For the love of God, get off your butts, get out to the polls, and vote in the midterms. Find out who it is you're voting for. You should have been out in the preliminaries. I hope you were. I was. Find out who's up for election. Find out who it is you're voting for. Find out what their records are, and get out and vote. That's the only way we keep forward progress going. Oh, and tune in Monday, because apparently Judge Kavanaugh and his accuser are going to be in front of the Judicial Committee. I can't wait to see that one. That'll be entertaining as hell. So we'll see what happens Monday and get these people talking back and forth, and hopefully we can move on. Get Judge Kavanaugh confirmed. Tell the Democrats to shove it. Rick's Rolling Rant. God bless. Carry on.